So we're back with part two of the crew access with our first guest, none other than Nell Owen. And during the break, Nell was playing with balls.
I
And
was.
yeah, and
I was. I was juggling.
you were juggling.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when we left off, we were talking about, you living in Australia, of course, and how that was, different as far as like the states and what the states have that Australia doesn't, and vice versa. And then, of course, you met Kent, who is now your husband of 14 years.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's amazing just in itself because I know there's some people that are just trying to make 14 minutes. So if you can make 14 years, I'm sure somebody out there can survive 14 minutes.
I think so. It should be in 14-minute blocks.
Oh, yes.
Just think of it every 14 minutes, and you make it 14 minutes, and then you can do it again, and then do it again, and then all of a sudden it's 14 years. And, you get more for murder, really, or less for murder.
Well, nowadays, if you can even make it a year, I think every couple deserves a trophy.
A trophy.
Like, that should be the anniversary gift, a trophy. So,
Is the trophy presented by an outside party, or do I have to buy Kent a trophy?
well, it depends. It depends on if you have kids. I think the kids should give their parents a trophy, like, thank you. Thank you for not fucking up for 1 year. But speaking of that, now you and Kent, do you guys have any kids?
No.
Has that ever been in the plans, or is it something you said, no, we're not gonna fuck with that?
Oh, absolutely not. Like that was a conversation that we had pretty early on, before we met. I've never wanted children, and neither has he. And I think that it's important, obviously, to be on the same page with that, because you can't compromise children.
True.
And I certainly am not going to compromise, and he wouldn't either. And
Yeah. Yeah, and kids bring a whole different dynamic, to any kind of relationship. I have a 14-year-old son, which, I'm very happy. He's my son, and I'm blessed every day. But I'll tell you, it's just some of the things that when I have talked with him, it's like, my God, he's so much like his mother, like he cries just like his mother, So it's those little things. So I definitely respect that, and the fact that you guys didn't want to do that. Plus, you didn't want to have a bunch of kids with a bunch of balls, running around the house. So.
Oh my God, I know. I tread on Lego, and I'd be constantly surrounded by balls, which is fine because I like balls, but I do not want to tread on Lego.
Yes. So let's fast forward to 2012. And 2012 was really when me and you kind of came into play as knowing one another. I actually was coming back from California, moving back to Kansas City, and you were currently working at Weight Watchers, correct?
Yeah, I was there then. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a call because at that point I came back, didn't have a job. I got a call and started working as a what they call customer service rep for like 2 years. And then, of course, at the later stages of that job, I was a trainer and trained all the new hires. But there's three things I remember about you. Number one, I remember the day that I first laid eyes on you. I was walking out of the building. So I was walking down this hall, and you were walking up the hall. And I remember I passed you. We didn't say nothing to each other. We just passed each other like two idiots. And
I didn't even say hello or smile or anything.
Didn't say nothing. Didn't say nothing. Didn't say nothing. Didn't give me the finger. Nothing.
Nice. That's nice.
But I remember you had like this boot. So you were like limping. I felt bad. But I still went home.
What the fuck? You just left me there with a boot?
Yeah, I felt bad.
Oh, I have to be careful what I say about that because there's a lawsuit pending. So, yeah.
Was that work related?
What year is it? 2012. Actually, yes, it was.
Oh wow.
Because I'm a klutz, and this is not the first time I was wearing boots. Yeah,
Yeah,
this was
yeah,
perfect pump, actually. Yeah.
yes. As I remember, there was crutches involved one year. Yeah,
Yes.
so I
I
remember.
think every year I've done
Yeah,
something
every year
stupid.
was something. So,
God.
yeah. And then the second time I remember is a lot of people don't know, what our job titles were. I was a customer service rep. So basically, I was helping all the actual current Weight Watchers members when they had problems. And of course, you were quality control. You remember that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I remember I had this irate phone call, and this lady, she was just angry. I mean, just answered the phone angry. And I remember at the very end of the conversation, she was as happy as could be. Now, she probably got money back, you know, but she was just
Yeah,
happy.
that always helps.
Yeah. And I remember 3 minutes after that phone call, you walked up to me and you gave me the sticky note, and it said, "You were so funny." Now, what's funny about that is that it's a foreshadowing of where we're at now. Because at that point, I think maybe we had maybe 2 weeks worth of conversations in 2 years. You know.
Yeah, I really didn't want to talk to you, to be honest. Really. I didn't really want to talk to anyone, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I decided, I was like, fine. And then we became friends.
Yeah, and we did. And I think from that moment we had this kind of like this bond because we just kind of we just meshed. And then the third interaction I had with you was the day I left. And I remember hugging you and hugging Janet, and I remember saying to myself, I'm gonna miss them two because they're just the nicest people, and they always were the nicest people to me that I worked with at that company at the time. So, and of course Flo, and I don't want to leave her out, but she was in a whole different department than we were. So, but it was good times. My question to you is when that whole bigger picture, and I'm going to use that for a better term, that bigger picture of the whole Weight Watchers and everything was going down. What were your thoughts as far as the way that you were going? Because you were still going back and forth from the States to Australia every now and then, correct?
Yeah, my mother was sick, so it was maybe twice a year for like 5 or 6 years that I had to do that.
So in that 5 or 6 years, and I remember one time, and I'll never forget this. I remember one time you came back and you said, and I remember you said, "Will, customs is a bitch," and I just died laughing because it's just I'm like it was your first day back. Remember that? And I
Yeah.
and I and I came to hi to you, and he's like, "Customs is a bitch,"
Yeah, forget about the rest of the trip. It's fucking customs, man. They're a pain in the ass.
So that right there, I just said to myself, I said, that's the type of people that you want to hang with and that you want in your life forever. Which actually brings me to 6 months after I left. And a lot of people don't know this, but I had this idea of the crew way before we even started it, probably about maybe 4 or 5 years prior. And I just sat on an idea. And me and you talked about this because the original crew was not what the crew is today. It was Mamadou and it was Seth. And I just didn't feel like they wanted to play a very active role. So I had to kind of go to plan B. And I remember saying to myself, I need a female that's just funny. And I remember sitting in my kitchen. I remember saying, "Oh my God, I gotta call Nell." And I remember, you remember when I called you and I said, okay, now I got this idea. Let's meet for breakfast and let me go over with you. Remember that?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So I remember you said, okay, you said, well, I'm in. And I remember we got there. Now it was about what, maybe 10 o'clock in the morning?
Something like that. It was
Yeah.
early. I had to get up early and miss my
Yes.
goal.
So I think it was about 9 o'clock. I think it was about 9 o'clock. And we went to First Watch and people in Missouri will know what First Watch is, but they closed at like 2, which was kind of funny because I remember we got there and we sat down and we kind of I went over everything with you and we literally died laughing. You remember that?
I know, and it took like fucking, I don't know, 40 minutes for us to finally place our order. I know the server was getting pissed.
Oh, she was hot. She was hot. She was like, okay, are you going to order? Remember that?
And we're like, yeah, in a minute.
Yeah, like an hour and a
Back in
half
a
later.
minute.
An hour and a half later. So yeah, so that's funny because that's when I bring it up because I was telling people today and I even posted it. That was almost 6 months to today that happened, and yeah, I know, and definitely things have changed since then. So one of my questions to you is number one, when you look at the time frame from the 6 months to now, what are some of the biggest changes you see?
Oh, I mean, you always have a clear vision, and that obviously has not changed there. There are a lot more, obviously, skit ideas and things like that, which are great. And then, of course, growing with food as well, and adding in, Hannah and Brandon and Wes, and then proceeding to follow. It was really exciting to have other people as well who were sharing the vision. Obviously now it's a lot more structured, which is great because, you and I were sitting there kind of brainstorming and having conversation that was kind of just getting together and just, sharing ideas. And, now it's more structured. There's like solid ideas for skits, which are just going to be just great. I sound like Trump. It's going to be the best. It's just going to be just wonderful and awesome.
Yeah,
But it really is. Like, I really have a lot of faith
we're gonna
in it.
make America funny
Funny
again.
again. I don't know whether it was really unfunny to start with, but we're going to make it funnier. I think that's probably the best way.
Yeah, that's true. So we're gonna take just a real short break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about just a couple few minute things. But we're gonna talk about the original compared to now the formation of 6 because it was 5, and also we're going to talk about the skits that me and you have came up with and we have in mind. So we're going to actually announce the skit that we have going on 2017. Sound good?
Yep.
Then we're going to get your thoughts and then we're going to be out of here. So
All right.
I know. So stay tuned. More with Nell when we come back.